Eating imitation food isn't always a bad thing, but you'd prefer to know when something is fake, right? Here's what to watch out for so you don't get tricked into thinking your impostor food is the genuine article. Pure olive oil offers exceptional health benefits. The blast of antioxidants, anti-inflammatory properties, and other advantages make it amazing for a variety of purposes, according to Healthline. But how can you know that your olive oil is legit? Just because olive oil is labeled as authentic doesn't mean it is. According to a 2021 study published by the Department of Drug Chemistry and Technology in Rome, much of what is sold in stores or distributed directly from producers contains distinctly different chemical makeups. These findings demonstrate the variability of olive oil sold today, making it a real chore to distinguish the real from the fake. Thankfully, there are a few ways to decipher the good from the bad. Start by looking for oils labeled extra virgin olive oil, or EVOO. Although this isn't a guarantee that the oil is the highest quality, it will at least give you a better chance of it being legit.
Put all extra virgin olive oil on everything.
Also scan the label for specifics regarding where the olives came from and when they were pressed. Names of production mills are a bonus, as are the olive varieties used in production. Pure olive oil should smell pleasant with a fresh grassy taste. Anything bland or greasy likely isn't the real thing. It's pretty easy to tell the difference between real and fake honey if you know what to look for. The fake stuff contains added ingredients, and so it does things real honey doesn't. It often has a cheaper price tag and may even look different, since some varieties are diluted with water to produce more. To know for sure, try dissolving your honey in water. Real honey won't diffuse. It will likely sit at the bottom in a glob. Fake honey will quickly dissolve thanks to added ingredients that make it easier to combine with the water. Another key difference between authentic and phony honey is the differing texture. The consistency of real honey is thick and doesn't easily run off your fingers, but you can expect fake honey to have a runny and drippy consistency and remain liquid when exposed to air. Wasabi is known for waking up the taste buds with its unique spiciness, but all too often, the expense of the real thing means what you're having is an imitation.
Wasabi!
Oh my God, Bernie!
How can you tell the difference? The main thing to look out for is texture. If your wasabi is velvety smooth, it is an indicator that it may be mixed with dyes and other ingredients such as horseradish. Authentic wasabi is freshly grated and gritty. The flavor delivers a short burst of spice that shouldn't linger the way fake wasabi often does. This characteristic is what makes the real deal a perfect match for sushi and other light seafood meals. Since true wasabi is so scarce, it is almost certain that you won't be able to find it in the grocery store. You may be able to snag authentic wasabi in a restaurant, but even then, this Japanese delicacy can prove to be a rare find. Most types of balsamic vinegar on the market include a hodgepodge of additives, leading to the degradation of its authenticity. The result is a bottle of less potent, less flavorful, and less healthy vinegar, especially when stacked up against the real thing. Balsamic vinegar is known for its health benefits, which include low calorie and sodium levels, WebMD notes. It also tastes great, pairing with oils and spices to create a mouth-watering vinaigrette, or imparting life to stews and pasta. This hot commodity is only made with grapes grown in certain areas of Italy, so the real stuff can be hard to find. You can tell how genuine a bottle is by simply looking at the label. For starters, the real deal requires a seal confirming its designation of origin. Check the ingredients list for additives, including water, sugar, filler, coloring, and other suspect elements. If you see these components, know that you aren't buying balsamic in its purest form. Fruit juice sold in stores is often deceptively labeled with images of fresh fruit that may lead you to believe the drink offers nothing but pure goodness. The fact of the matter is that the beverage often contains added sugar and artificial coloring, despite a promising label.
It all can depend on what you choose. Are you buying 100% fruit juice, or are you buying sweetened juice or juice cocktails?
To know what you're getting, always look for the phrase 100% juice printed on the container. Juices that have added sugars aren't worth your time and can even prove detrimental to your health when consumed in excess. Artificial dyes are also a no-go, as some colorings are linked to unwanted behavior in children, Healthline reports. Pure fruit juice will likely contain a blend of fruit, puree, and water, and that's it. No added sugars, dyes, or colorings. So if you see extra ingredients on the label, don't be fooled. These drinks aren't good for you. Vanilla extract is a baking essential, but as most seasoned bakers know, there's a difference between pure vanilla extract and what's labeled as vanilla flavoring. Pure vanilla extract comes from just vanilla beans and alcohol. Imitation vanilla may look similar, but it isn't the real thing. Bottles labeled as vanilla flavor or imitation vanilla likely contain vanillin, a more robust yet less complex manufactured version of vanilla. Vanillin comes from guaiacol, which is often produced from petroleum. There are instances in which imitation vanilla works quite well, especially if you're baking on a budget. But if you're looking to pick up pure vanilla from your local grocer and instead find these cheaper alternatives, take note that you're actually buying an artificial flavoring. Most of the black pepper available on the market isn't all it's cracked up to be. Authentic black pepper is made from ground peppercorns, which have a distinctive shape and physical characteristics that are easily identifiable through a microscope. Commercial manufacturers find ways to mimic it by adding other similarly colored substances to the mix. These unwanted add-ins often include coffee pieces and even finely ground stones. The best way to prevent becoming duped by black pepper may be to grind the whole peppercorns yourself. Nowadays, there are several types of black pepper grinders on the market, many of which are sold right alongside pre-ground pepper. They generally feature a plastic twist-top grinder and come already supplied with peppercorns to make the process easier. Yes, the price point is higher, but at least you'll have peace of mind knowing your black pepper is free of rocks and stale coffee. If you love purchasing flavored coffee, we're disappointed to inform you that it might spell bad news for its quality.
What flavor coffee is that? Updog?
What's that?
I don't know. Nothing. What's up with you?
Coffee that comes pre-flavored is likely low grade, especially given that the flavorings themselves aren't usually natural. True naturally flavored coffee beans will expressly state their purity on the packaging, but in most cases, it's all artificial. In fact, adding aromas is sometimes used to mask the flavor of shoddy coffee. There are several ways you can tell great coffee beans from the bad stuff. First, look for coffee packages labeled as 100% Arabica beans. These are known for being higher quality than the more common Robusta beans. You'll also want to look for the specific origin of the beans, along with the day they were roasted. All of these signs can help you distinguish high-quality coffee from cheap alternatives. Parmesan is a versatile cheese that adds a unique salty and nutty flavor to anything it graces, including pasta dishes and salads. Unfortunately, most types of Parmesan sold in grocery stores aren't authentic. The first way to determine whether or not Parmesan cheese is real is to read the label. Brands that bear the words Parmigiano Reggiano are legally protected according to government guidelines and can only be named as such if they meet those specific standards. Another way to detect inauthentic Parm is to check the outer edge. Authentic Parmigiano Reggiano will have the name stamped across the rind. That's right, some wine on the market is fake, and it can be hard to determine which is which. This is especially common with wines that claim to be aged, and often garner a small fortune in auction houses. One of the ways that you can tell an aged wine from standard wine that is only pretending to be aged is by watching its sediment. Most aged red wines contain sediment, and it behaves in a specific way. Gently tip the wine bottle at an angle to see if it moves. If it does, it is at least one sign that your wine is indeed aged. If it stays stuck at the bottom, it may be time to look for another brand. Some manufacturers alter the sediment to make a wine bottle look older, but this imitation sediment doesn't normally shift in the bottle, making it easier to determine a counterfeit. Avocado oil is hailed for its healing properties and health benefits, though coming across authentic avocado oil these days can be difficult. According to a 2020 study published in Food Control, many avocado oils found in markets are tainted with soybean oil, despite claims of being refined or extra virgin. These oils may look more yellow than green, and thus exhibit signs of adulteration. Unfortunately, it is often difficult to see the actual color of avocado oil when it's stored in dark bottles on grocery store shelves. So it's important to do your research. Check out avocado oil brands that have a good reputation so you know what you're buying before you spend your hard-earned cash. Also remember that avocado oil should taste fresh, grassy, and slightly buttery. Stale-smelling avocado oil is often yet another indication that something is amiss. If you've ever slathered your flapjacks in a rich brown sap that only cost you a few bucks, it may taste good, but it isn't real maple syrup.
Okay, what kind of syrup do you want on your pancakes? Syrups have kinds?
Real maple syrup is typically found tucked alongside other syrups and stamped with a much higher price tag. The phony versions are usually labeled as pancake syrup, immediately informing you that they aren't legit. Actual maple syrup comes from maple trees and won't contain any ingredients except the maple syrup itself. Pancake syrup, on the other hand, often contains artificial flavorings, high fructose corn syrup, and other additives. Though delicious, these illegitimate frauds won't offer the same health benefits as real maple syrup. Many of the cheeses you find lining store shelves might not be cheese at all. Brands that are sold unrefrigerated are among the worst offenders, but there's more. Classic American cheese, like Kraft Singles, doesn't count as real cheese either. If a product doesn't meet the USDA guideline requirements, it can't be labeled as cheese, even if it contains some amount of cheese. Instead, the product must be marketed as a cheese product so that buyers can be informed. Does this mean you should throw out the fake cheese you've got stored in your home? Not necessarily. Though processed cheese has its pitfalls, we have to admit that it can make some pretty killer grilled cheese sandwiches. Just remember that processed cheese won't emulate the complex and unique flavors of real cheese, so keep that in mind. Some imitation crab meat is obviously labeled as such, but there are ways manufacturers may trick you into thinking crab meat is real when it isn't. Crab meat is expensive, typically because of its high demand and limited supply. It's tender, flaky, and mild, which makes it a popular seafood choice. The problem is, while some grocery stores carry genuine crab meat, markets have found a number of loopholes to make it appear like you're buying this highly valued shellfish. Phrases to look out for on packaging, besides the very clear imitation crab, are crab sticks, crab flavored, crab with a K, or crab seafood. A quick scan of the ingredients list will highlight the fact that these products often contain little to no crab at all. They typically consist of a mixture of surimi and cheaper fish produced to mimic the look, feel, and taste of the real thing.